There we go.
Don Mazzella here again for Small Business Digest. We have to me, a very interesting guest because she does something that some of us like to do, gig work, but she does it at a much higher level. And we're going to talk about that and a lot more with Jennifer Barnes. Jennifer, welcome to the program.
Hello. How's your day going?
The day's going fine. Oh, hectic, but what the heck? That's what better than it being slow. But Jennifer, as we ask all our guests, first tell us a little bit about your background and what you're doing now, and we'll finally a website for people where they can learn more.
Sure. Jennifer Barnes. I'm the CEO and founder of Optima Office, and we provide fractional CFOs, controllers, bookkeeping, and human resource consulting to businesses of all sizes, from startups and not-for-profits all the way up to 50 million plus type of organizations. And we provide them with the part-time people to help them, whatever, if filling the entire accounting department or making sure they have good financials and making sure they have good HR practices in place. But we've been doing this for about 12 years. This is my second company in the space, and I just love what we're doing. I'm an accountant by trade. And, what I saw as an accountant consultant is that, you were either doing data entry and bookkeeping as a controller, or you were asked to do work that was above your level. And it was kind of a one size fits all model in our space. So I branched off and did something a little different with a lot of flexibility so we could come into a company and figure out what their specific needs were and then find team members on a part-time basis that can fill those gaps. And so I spent a lot of years in the field myself. I'm an outgoing accountant, which I don't know that many of us exist. And yeah, again, I really love what we do at Optima Office.
And you have a website?
Yes, optimaoffice.com.
Can you spell it out?
Sure. OPTIMAOFFICE.com.
Well, let's dig a little deeper into it. There's a question that actually came up in context of something else recently. You come into an organization, you're in effect a hired gun. But how do other people feel about it? In this case, the reason is somebody she felt very alone because the other people were resenting her coming in.
Well, I think the old school model, if you want to call it that, was really butts and seats, right? You had your bookkeeper sitting there day in and day out. You'd hand her an invoice, make deposits, do bank reconciliation. They're always just sitting there every single day. And the issue with that is they, kind of get stuck in a routine doing the same things day in, day out. And then they're not able to do the higher level activities such as cash flow forecasting, detailed budgets, a lot of the dashboards and analysis that companies need to really operate successfully. And I've never met a bookkeeper that labeled themselves as a bookkeeper who's really been able to provide an accurate set of financials on all the balance sheet schedules, making sure that everything is recorded properly, GAAP financials, and being able to provide projections. And so the way the model is really shifted is having the right person do exactly what they're good at. Now, that doesn't mean they can't be on site, but it's really about finding 40 hours worth of work at one specific level. It doesn't really make sense for a lot of businesses anymore. And so, you know, it's really about overcoming that barrier of, do you really need that same person every single day, 9 to 5, sitting there, or is a company comfortable with the fractional model and maybe having a controller 2 days a week, a CFO 1 day a week, maybe an accounting manager 20 hours a week. And then they might hire a bookkeeper full time if they really have that much work, or they hire us and we'll give them a bookkeeper, 20 hours a week or 10 hours a week or 30 hours a week or really whatever they need at that level. And so you truly have the right person doing what they're good at every level. And I think it's really about the delivery, the kindness aspect of it. And so if we were to come in guns blazing and disrupting and forcing people to do things, and that wouldn't be a very friendly approach. Whereas we try to come in and just be like mentoring, coaching, working with the team. What is the best practices for the organization? How can we get you from point A to point B? And really providing that value that's helping the business grow, helping them be more successful, helping them be more profitable. And then really showing the CEO, founder, president, who's ever running the company, here's the information you need to make really great decisions. And once they get us into place and they start seeing how successful it is and how more profitable they can be, how much better the information is that they're getting, then there's really no barriers. They're usually very ecstatic to have our service.
Well, I guess the other side of it is if you come in, are you more apt to find malfeasance if it exists there? Um,
We do a lot. Yeah, there's more fraud than I'd like to think, right?
yeah,
I like to think that everyone's good, right? That everybody is in it to help make the world a better place and really being kind, good people. But unfortunately, that's not the issue, and that's not the case. And the issue is really that people can be bad and they can steal from organizations and there can be significant fraud that almost shuts an organization down. So we will come in and do a little bit of forensics if it's needed. I mean, often case it's not. It's 5%, even 10% of the time there might be some problems in that area. But it's really identifying what the issue was, how the person defrauded the organization, what malfeasances were occurring, and then we'll actually send a 1099 to the perpetrator, and the IRS will go after the money. And that way, if the company doesn't want to be in the limelight or they don't want to, put themselves in the paper on, hey, I had fraud at my organization, then at least they get a little bit of satisfaction knowing that that person's going to have to pay taxes on the money that they owe. And oftentimes the IRS might, take some alternative, more harsh measures if they can't get their funds. But I think something we come across more often than fraud is human error. If you've got one person doing everything and there's no segregation of duties, we might come in and find that the accounting is a mess. God, I'd say almost maybe half of the companies that we come into, we have a lot of cleanup to do. We really just have to make sure that the books are organized and things are accurate, balance sheet schedules taken tie, and there is a lot of errors and people that they're in the job and they mean well, but they are just they're in over their head in certain areas that we come in and kindly help them fix.
well, let's you like uh, be, being an adventurous sort, but a lot of people want that weekly paycheck. How do you identify somebody that could thrive in your kind of environment?
Well, we have 100 W-2 employees, and about 65 of them are on salary. So we pay them a salary, whether they have work or not, but we're a very busy firm, so they almost always have work. For the
Mm.
ones that are on part-time, they usually want to have only 20 hours a week of work or 24 or 30, 32. And so, they want that really flexible, almost more balance on the personal side than on the work side, and so they'll do 24 hours a week at Optima, and then they are taking care of their family or they have other things that they're interested in that they don't have to work full time. And one of the things I really really pride myself on is that I'm able to give an opportunity to accountants and HR people who don't want to do 40, 50, 60 hours a week. They might have come from ex CPA firms, and I mean ex CPAs working for a CPA firm doing 50 plus hours a week, and they can come to Optima and they can work as many hours as it makes sense for their life and their family. And so I love being able to hire people and give them that opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, but we're a nation of achievers, and theoretically, people who want to constantly move up the ladder. These, you don't get a chance to move up the ladder in a company like yours.
Of
Well,
course. Of
huh?
course you do. Yeah, we've had people start off as interns that they've graduated college, become an intern, then they become a staff accountant, and then they're doing really great work, and so they become a senior staff accountant, and then they can become an accounting manager, then a senior accounting manager, assistant controller, director of accounting and finance, and CFO. Now, that might take 10 to 15 years to go from staff accountant to CFO, but we have an amazing career path where we have mentorship, we have training. It's called our optimal path to success. And we put them through a whole curriculum. Where are you at right now? Where do you want to go? And how can we as a firm help you get there?
Hmm.
There's no ceilings at Optima. I mean, unless you want to go from being, after the CFO world, well, that's probably retirement.
I understand that in terms of your company, but if they go into another company, they're there for that job, and then they move on.
Well,
Um,
they might have some career path development, but it's going to take a long time,
hmm,
right? It
yeah,
usually have to move organizations to get significant pay jumps and
yes,
significant title moves. Yeah, correct.
well, that's what I meant by it. But it's
Oh,
interesting you say it on your side. But let's talk about that person in your company. What are the traits that you look for in somebody that that can thrive in an environment like yours?
yeah, great question. We focus first on culture. If you hire somebody who doesn't fit your culture, they're going to stick out like a sore thumb and it's going to drag the rest of the team down. So for us, we focus on getting stuff done. We want people who are efficient. They're quick. They're responsive. They're great communicators. They're proactive. Then we want kind, caring, collaborative. They work well in a team. Then we also focus on quality and excellence. So, are you going to do good work? Are you going to make sure that the quality of what you're giving our clients is going to be absolutely excellent? And so, we do a lot of trainings. We have quality control. We're just really, doing that on an ongoing basis. But it starts with the hiring. So, we want to hire the right people. So once they fit our culture, we also give them an accounting or HR assessment, depending on their level. So we're not going to give a CFO a staff accountant assessment and vice versa. So if you're coming in as an accounting manager, we're going to give you an accounting manager assessment, debits, credits, essay questions, really making sure that you know your stuff. And then once you've kind of showed us that you can score well and that you're, technically sound, we then want to make sure that you have the right technical Excel, whether it's QuickBooks or NetSuite or Sage Intacct or accounting software. What softwares do you know and how well do you know them? We go through a whole skill set matrix. So we actually do a little more than most, probably on the hiring side. We want to make sure that they really are able to do their job. We even give them it's like a 5 minute computer assessment. Do you know how to minimize the inbox? Go to a website, type in this correctly, copy and paste. Do you know how to send emails? Like we actually make them do like a little computer assessment. And then lastly, we do a critical thinking test. Can you think quick on your feet? Do you have the technical aptitude and the critical thinking abilities to almost like an IQ test? Are you smart? Can you keep up? If companies are hiring us on an hourly basis, we better be able to jump right in and do a darn good job. And so we have spent a ton of time and money just on our hiring process overall. And then once you're hired, it's the onboarding process. We're constantly evolving and making sure that our onboarding process, what is it like to work for Optima? How do you enter time? How do you treat your clients? How do you send emails? How do you work with coworkers? Where do you find templates, documents? We have a controller playbook. We have 35 controllers at Optima, so that's a third of my team are controllers. Do you know everything as a controller when you come into an organization? What do you do right off the bat? If the books are a mess and you need to clean things up, where do you even start? And so we have an entire process built around starting at a company as a controller and all the things that you need to look for and to do to create a work plan to get accurate and timely financials.
Well, um, do your people work in the client's office? Do they work
Yeah,
at home? Do they work in your?
both. Yeah. I would say before COVID, because again, I've been at this. My first company I founded in 2012. It was way before COVID. And it was maybe 70% on site here in San Diego. And we also had a presence in Arizona. And so we would physically go to the office a lot. That doesn't mean some of the Excel spreadsheets and financials and things can't be done at home later, once the kids go to bed or, you eat dinner and then you want to jump back on your laptop. But it was more on site. After COVID, the year 2020 and 2021, it swung the opposite way where it was mostly remote, except for those people that needed to go into the office to open mail, deposit checks, pick up invoices, count inventory. You know, if you worked for a restaurant or retail, you obviously needed to go on site and do those sorts of things. And so we did have quite a bit of on-site work during COVID. For those risky few that were okay with wearing masks and going on into the building and the facilities. But now let's fast forward, we're in 2025 and it's probably 50-50. So a lot of our clients want us on site 100% of the time. Some of them want us on site 50% of the time. Some of it's just once a month to come on site. And other companies never opened up back up an office. And so a lot of the work that we do can be remote, which is why we're now nationwide. COVID did open that door for us where we have employees in 15 states currently, all the way on the East Coast to the West Coast, in the middle, Ohio and Oklahoma and Idaho. But we also service clients. I'd say about 100 of our clients are not in California. They're, across the US. And those are obviously going to be remote unless we happen to have somebody, who has an office in Boise. Well, hey, we've gotten a great person who lives in Boise that can service them.
Um, it's all very interesting. Where do you think the market's going to go? People are saying now that they want more people back in the office. Where do you think the world's going?
I think it is shifting a little more towards being back in the office, but there are going to be companies out there that thrive in a virtual environment. And so, when it comes to my team, I know the staff that work better in an office and the ones that just work great at home, and the some that it's hybrid. And I think that more companies need to be flexible and understand that people don't necessarily want to be in the office from 8 to 5 or 6 every single day. And so maybe they give them, okay, be in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. You know, pick 2 to 3 days a week that you're in the office. Maybe you have a work from home day or two, if that's what makes sense for the organization. Obviously, if you're a waitress in a restaurant, you have to be on site at the restaurant every single day. In the accounting department, it really depends on who your coworkers are and what you have to do on a day-to-day basis, whether you actually need to be there. But I find in the accounting, HR, IT, marketing, those should continue to be hybrid and flexible based on deliverables, goals, what the company needs from the individual, and are they able to do it remotely and efficiently or not. And if they find that people that they're allowing to work remotely are not being efficient, not delivering, well then that's their answer. They should require them to be in the office, or maybe they're not a good fit for the organization at all.
It's an interesting point, but the a moral dilemma. You're working for a company and you discover that there's a problem, that the people are ripping off the company. What's the responsibility of your people to tell the employer, the client, or to try to rectify the situation?
Oh, well, we immediately have to inform the company and the CEO and close the door and have a serious conversation. Hey, this is what we found and this is what is happening. We've had to do that many times. I mean, we have well over 300 clients and we've serviced probably 1,000 companies over the last, 8, 9 years. And it's a hard conversation, especially if it's someone that the person has trusted over the years. And then it's the magnitude. How much is it? Sometimes we're brought in because of fraud and the person's already been fired, and we literally have to go in and find out where the check stock is located and be able to step in and do payroll and all these other things that are needed. But if we're the ones that discover it, we're going to have that hard conversation with the business owner, and then we're going to immediately fire and give a final check to that person, and then we're going to notify authorities potentially depending on the magnitude. And if the company is a well-established brand with a reputation that they don't want them to be themselves to be in the limelight, then again, we're going to go that, let's give them a 1099, let's uncover how much they stole, and then you can make another decision about, what the next steps are going to be. And then we can put all hands on deck, really making sure that, what role was that person in? Typically, accounting manager, controller, or CFO is the title, unless they had somebody who was bookkeeper slash HR slash controller. And if that's the case, we're going to kind of have to come in and fill every single role at the company until we get a game plan and a real good understanding of what's needed at each level.
But what if you report it and they do nothing?
Would the authorities do nothing? Well, I mean, typically it
Oh,
kind of
no,
has
if
to
you
be a
report it
big deal for them to step
to
in, but
the next level, and the next level does nothing, do you then move up the chain of command, or do you deal with the highest level of the company?
well, we act as the head of the finance, accounting, and HR department. And so we are already in that executive seat in most cases. And if so, we're dealing directly with the CEO or managing partner, managing director. Sometimes we're reporting to a COO slash president or somebody like that, depending on how involved the CEO is in their business. If it's a family business, we might go and there's an executive chairman that we might have to talk to. If, let's say, a son takes over his dad's business and his girlfriend's the one doing the fraud, and we talk to him and he doesn't want to acknowledge it, then we might have to go to the father, executive chairman. I mean, it's a case by case basis.
Yeah, no, it's a fascinating thing. I've been involved in a couple of those where the the employee involved was a privileged employee, and uh, I use that term involving somebody you can't touch him or touch her, you know. But anyway, we have just a few minutes left. I'd like no, well, first question I have is how do you see 2025 in terms of in general, and how does it seem for you 2025 as a company?
It's starting off strong. We brought in November and December of last year, we brought in about 30 clients, which is a lot.
Mhm.
Um, and so we're already starting the year off pretty busy, but we always like to have plenty of capacity so that a company can call us and we can literally start the next day. There's not like a long sales process with us. You need our help. Let me find out what it is. We'll step in, figure it out, and get going. I think our speed of execution is unmatched. None of our competitors can meet our speed of execution to literally start the next day. And so continuing having great people ready to go is our ammo. We're going to continue doing that. We should be well over 14 million in revenue in 2025. I'd
Hmm.
like to hire another 10 to 15 people over the next 5 to 6 months just to keep up with demand. And we're really placing an emphasis on controllers. So every single company needs a controller. They need a head of the accounting department, and they may not need a CFO quite yet. And so really focusing on that controller role. How are we going to be the best controller firm out there with the best people, with the best processes, and the most talent of anyone? And so that's going to be a focus for us as well as the HR side. So really being playing that HR manager seat and just continuing to grow. I see a lot of companies that are poised for growth this year. And I think there's been a lot of signs that companies are healthy and they're going strong. I think tariffs are going to potentially affect some of the companies that are doing business and sourcing things from obviously China and other countries. They're going to need to find better places to source that aren't going to cost them so much, some workarounds. I think there are some things that are coming into place politically that are going to affect some businesses that hopefully they're already considering. And then the move towards fractional. People are really starting to gain a ton of traction on, I don't need that 40-hour person sitting at one level every single day at my company, and maybe having, a few part-time resources, hiring a firm like Optima Office that can have the right person doing what they're good at every level makes a lot more sense. And so we're seeing even a bigger uptick than we did last year, even, 9 days into the year.
So where do you get your clients? How do you market?
It's all word of mouth. I mean, mostly all word of mouth. We've grown very successfully without salespeople. I have one part-time salesperson, but most of his job is really on client relations, customer success, helping me. sales calls. And then we're doing more with SEO now. We want people across the nation to be able to find us, find that great controller for their business,
Hmm.
and maybe do more paid advertising, doing a little more with our website and uh, kind of more focused on non-organic leads. But we're going to continue getting a ton of referrals. I mean, our reputation is impeccable, and people continually refer us companies. So that'll always be a big source of referrals for us.
Where are you located? Your headquarters?
San Diego, California.
Oh, wow, that's a nice place to be.
It's not bad. No, I love it. And our office is located off it's about 10 minutes south of Del Mar and about 10 minutes east of La Jolla. And I live
Uh,
about a mile away. And so I can walk to work. I got my son's preschool between my office and my house, which I don't think could get any better. So staying put here in San Diego.
well, we have just a minute left. What would you like to leave our audience with?
If we can help your business, please give me a call. You can call our office at 858-283-1234. Visit our website. I'm always the first one that you talk to, me and my sales guy, Robbie. We get on every single call. We want to help you. And if you need anything at all, please reach out. We'd love to support the businesses here in this economy.
Well, on that note, Jennifer Barnes, we say thank you for a really interesting time together. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.